Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia. I post new tutorials every Thursday. So primarily I focus on tumblers, but this week I decided, you know what, I want to do something a little bit different. I am going to glitter this Dollar Tree clipboard. So I want to point out to you though that this is, kind of a cheapy, it's like a cardboardy. So if this is something that you want to do and give away as a gift, I recommend checking out Amazon's plastic clipboards. I think that they would work better as gifts. But for the purpose of doing this for the first time, I used the Dollar Tree one. So if you're interested to see what I came up with, stick around and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this label from the clipboard. Other than that, there isn't anything more I'm going to do to prepare this other than I'm going to tape up that metal clip up at the top because I am going to go ahead and spray paint this a base white. I want to cover up all those lines, because this particular clipboard isn't just brown. So I want to make sure I get nice good coverage. I'm also going to flip it and make sure I get sort of this back side too and cover that up. All right, now that that's all taped up, I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple of coats of this Rust-Oleum flat white. And then when that's dry, I'm going to come in with Rust-Oleum's this gray color and I will list it and spray that down with gray. And then I am going to glitter it using these two new silver colors, and I forget their names right now. And I'm going to go ahead and mix in this raspberry tort because I want it to be primarily gray with some pink flecks in there. And so I do like 3 scoops of each and 60 mLs of epoxy. Yes, 60 mLs. And the reason why we're using 60 mLs is because you want to get, a nice good thick coating. And you want to get a nice good saturation of glitter as well. So I pour this on, excuse me, I pour this on and, and pretty much empty the cup out. And then I go ahead and spread it with my hands. And this way I can get the glitter distribution as even as possible. And so I'm just going to go all around the clipboard. I'm going to be careful up by that clip, which I have taken the tape off at this point. Once the paint was dry, I took the tape off. So sorry I didn't show you that. And then I'm just going to be really careful about going around that clip up at the top when I'm applying the epoxy, the glitter epoxy. And if you mess up and you get a little oops, you can tape this off again if you want. I swear it took me more time to tape off that clip than it did to do this entire clipboard. Like, no joke. So I'm just going to be super careful because you can wipe off, like if you overflow a little bit, you can just take a Q-tip with some 91% alcohol and just wipe it off. I just didn't want to go ahead and tape all that off and then have to try to pull the tape off while the board was still wet and leveling. So I just felt that it was easier just to be extra careful. So you do what you feel is best. You can try it both ways. You can tape it off again, or you can just leave it and clean it up like I did. So, the beautiful thing about epoxy is that even when it's, like it feels like there's some thick spots, it's going to self-level it. Just make sure that your surface is nice and level when you're letting it cure. I am using a fast set epoxy. So this will be dry to the touch in about 2 hours, and in 4 hours it will be, ready to be worked on. And so you don't have to use a fast set epoxy. You can use a regular set epoxy. It's completely up to you. After you're done getting that nice and leveled out, go ahead and give it a torch for bubbles. And then I'm going to take the Q-tip and clean up any spillage over that little clip piece. And I just want to show you how smooth it looks. This is the reason why I mix the glitter in with the epoxy rather than glittering the board and then putting epoxy over it. I felt like I was going to get a smoother coverage that way. But I did have a pokey that I forgot to sand. So this has been curing for 4 hours, and this is the point where you would sand this out if there's any pokies. And I made the mistake of not. So I did have a pokey that wound up getting underneath my vinyl. So just make sure that you do your sanding like you would a cup, and I, skipped this step, which I shouldn't have. And so, thankfully this board is for me, as doing it for the first time, but in the future I would definitely sand and make sure that's 100% smooth. So, I just wanted to cut a couple pieces of vinyl. So this is Cricut Vinyl. Most of you who follow me know I don't normally use Cricut Vinyl. I don't generally like it, but I'd purchased this a couple of years ago when it was on sale and when I had first picked up my Cricut, and before I started shopping at Antioch Graphic Supply for all my vinyl. So I used the hinge method to put it on, and I'm smoothing it out with this scraper tool from Cricut. I do have another tool with like a felt end that I generally like better, but I misplaced it, so I was using that. And you did see, I forgot to show you a step. I did tape off the back of the clipboard in case there was some spillage of epoxy when I was applying the epoxy. And also I forgot to mention that when I was letting this cure, I did have it up on a raised surface in case there was any drippage over the edge. I did pretty good and I didn't have drippage, so I didn't have to clean up around the clipboard, which I would have just done with a sanding block. So I am using this metal ruler that came with this craft knife kit to trim off the ends, and I'm going to trim it just past the edge of the board so that when I do my final coat of epoxy over top, it's going to seal that vinyl on. So you're going to bring it like, I don't know, a couple of hairs away from the edge of the board, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm not explaining this really well. And so now I have this other piece of vinyl that I purchased from Antioch Graphic Supply around Valentine's Day. It's got some hearts on it. I think it's really cute, and it goes really, really nicely with the raspberry tort glitter that I put in, that I mixed in with the gray glitter. And so I'm just popping, there's little air bubbles in the Cricut vinyl, so I just take my craft knife and just poke a hole and then smooth it out to get rid of those so that there's not bubbles underneath this piece of vinyl that I'm applying, which I'm applying the same way using the hinge method. I get it all measured out, and then I'm just going to peel back that backing and smooth it out with my Cricut scraper. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim the ends like I did with the first piece, and then I'll be ready to move on to applying my name. So I just did my name in a cute font and did an offset so that it would stand out, because I wanted to use the brush chrome or brush silver on my name with the white underneath. And then I just, apply that down. Nothing special about doing that. And I decided at the last minute that I wanted to put some silver like pinstriping around the heart vinyl piece. And so I had this, so these silver pieces are cut out because I'm using them on another cup. So what I did was I actually used the in-between pieces to go around the whole square. So, just kind of using the stuff I don't want to throw away because it's perfectly good vinyl, but, it's the in-between, pieces that you usually wind up chucking. So, just using extra vinyl. All right, then another last minute, I decided to put It's a Craft thing. And so I was just reverse weeding this because it was, really skinny letters and such a pain in the butt when you're doing small letters. So I sped this up to save you the agony of me painfully weeding this. All right, so once all that's on there, I am going to wipe this down with 91% alcohol, but only on the parts that you see, like that Cricut vinyl. I don't trust it not to bleed because I think it's bled before when I put any liquid on there. So I just went around it. So I mixed up 30 mLs of epoxy to coat this, to give it a final coat. I wanted to give it a nice thick coat because I do have 4 layers of vinyl on that, on that one spot. So I pour it all on and then I spread it out with this silicone brush. You can use your finger. I wanted to use the silicone brush because of it being the final coat, and it was easier to get up around, again, that metal clip up there. So I just, was very careful around the metal clip. Again, if you get spillage or whatever, you can clean it off with the 91% alcohol on a Q-tip. And once I get it all nice and smooth, I am going to let it cure on a level surface, a raised level surface in case there's any drippage. Because, you know, after you get your epoxy on there and you're like just pulling it to the edge, when you give it a torch, it heats it up and it makes it, you know, more liquidy, and sometimes it will drip over the edge. Just check it in a half an hour after giving it the torch and make sure there's no dripping. And if there is, just take a gloved finger and run it around the edge and just take off that excess. Or you could just let it cure and then sand it down afterwards to smooth it out, you know, with a sanding block or whatever, and then just run a really thin bead of like polyacrylic around it to shine it back up. It's completely up to you how you want to do that, but I didn't have to. But I would have, I checked it in half an hour and I didn't have any drips, but if I did, I would have run my finger around there and I would have cleaned it up that way. And then so here I am torching this, and I am gonna go ahead and cover this as well with a box to make sure that there's no flyaways in the air that are gonna settle down onto this, because, you know, that is likely to happen since I'm working in this space and, you know, I've got glitter and, you know, it's impossible to be 100% dust free. All right, so this is done. All right, guys, this clipboard is done. I absolutely love this. So like it was easy. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. And you know, epoxy is so amazing, and how it just levels out and just makes it look like this, you know, just this so shiny surface. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier in my video, if this is something that you're going to gift, I recommend probably going with the plastic version over the cardboard version. But for purposes of doing it for the first time, this worked out perfectly. So guys, thank you all for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe, share, comment. I love to hear your feedback. Don't forget to check out my Facebook page. It's a craft thing for other things that I post that I don't do tutorials on. Also, Glitter Makes It Superstars group. We have tons of talented artists in there, you know, posting every day their beautiful glitter creations. So that's it for this, guys. I will see you all next time. Bye.